Pump Bunk Live. We're coming at you. Obviously, we're in two different locations, but we wanted to talk about the inner dialogue today. So, Rachel, go ahead. We always have a quote. She has a good one, I think. Well, she always does.
Our inner dialogue is our greatest obstacle.
Boom.
Yep. Why do you think it's our greatest obstacle, Bruce?
Because it honestly is the one thing that prevents us from doing everything. And it actually ties into, in so many ways, of all the things that we've talked about, of like excuses. Because usually the excuses start with the inner dialogue. Mm-hmm. Not keeping our integrity usually starts with the inner dialogue. Commitments, just everything, that we talk about starts with the inner dialogue. Even just like the simple things of like the meal prepping 101, it's the inner dialogue. You know what I mean? Because the inner dialogue will tell us, I don't know how to meal prep. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to, and once you freaking overcome that, man, what can you do? How unstoppable can you be? We've talked about that numerous times in our own self of, if we could stop the inner dialogue and the inner voice of just stopping us from preventing us and worry and make up stories in our head, how powerful could we be? So
I think that's when I speak to people, speak with people about what's going on in their lives or what they're telling themselves. I think the number one thing is that most people don't even know when their inner dialogue is basically leading the way, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's not until you identify what the inner dialogue is saying and the truth behind it that you really can grab that control, that power over leading your life, So that would be the first thing that I would say is identifying, just like anything, you got to identify what it is, but you have to identify what is the inner dialogue telling you and what's the truth behind what it's saying, So mm-hmm. What would you say to that? Like, what are things that your inner dialogue says, and then what's the truth behind it? I think for some people, it's like their inner dialogue telling them that they'll, I'll never be able to run that race because of X, Y, and Z, right? Because I'm injured, or because I'm too heavy, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that, right?
Yep.
Kind of plays off our excuse talk, but it's the inner dialogue talking to you, right? Well, the truth behind that is it's not really that you are too old to do it. It's not that, you're too heavy to do it. It's none of those things are the truth. The truth could be that, you're too scared to try to do it. Maybe you don't want to train for it. Maybe you're worried about what it will feel like. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. It's the inner dialogue that prevents us from reaching our full potential. And the thing is like, the more that we let it like talk and we don't talk back to it or take action towards it, the more it's going to become a reality to us, where it's going to set in. Because, and a lot of times, I think you hear this a lot of times too, Rachel, is we feel like a lot of the people feel like they don't deserve it. You know what I mean? I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. That inner dialogue, and the more you feed into that, the more it will become a reality. Even though it's not a real reality, it becomes a reality to you. So if you listen to it and you don't do anything about it, you don't take action, and I think too, it's the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest thing to do in transformation. It's the hardest thing to do in your life is to shut that person up. Because why? There's no clear-cut blueprint of how to stop it. There's no clear-cut blueprint of like, it's going to turn off someday. Because it's not. You know what I mean? It literally is something that happens in all of our minds 24/7. And it's that how you compete and how you talk back to it is the way that you're going to be able to perform and get to where you want to get to. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I think of Goggins and his run that he just did, and it was the inner voice that was trying to stop him from going on finishing that Moab 240 or whatever it was, and then you hear him talking to himself saying, this has got nothing on me, you got nothing on me, but really that's just a dialogue with himself and his mind to overcome it, and I just think that's amazing that we can become that powerful. Like, to me, that's how you become really powerful, is like opening that dialogue, because we're the only ones that put the limitations on ourselves. It's us. It's it.
Mm-hmm. We are. We are the only ones that put limitations on ourselves. That is 100% true. You are your own worst enemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's times physically you can't go out, like, you give it your all, like, and, like, if I was 400 pounds when I used to be 400 pounds and I tried to go run a marathon, I could believe it. I could shut up the inner voice and go try. I'm probably not going to make it because physically you probably can't, but that's okay. You know what I mean? But I would at least know, like, I started. You know what I mean? Like, I started and I gave it a shot, and now I know where I need to go. But if I didn't ever try it, then I would never know. And I think that's just huge. Is just getting up and trying and doing the opposite of what the inner dialogue does and trying it and going for it. That's how you're going to shut it down.
Yeah, without a doubt. Man, this is so bringing me to a place where I'm at in my life right now where I have this, like, amazing project and thing that I want to create, and I have this amazing vision of it, but I keep telling myself, I'm not smart enough to do it. I don't have enough of a, like, following to do it, and then also I'll never be able to make it as big as I want it to be, right? Well, the truth behind that is that's all bullshit. The truth behind it is that I'm scared. I'm scared of how much work it's going to take. I know it's going to take a lot. And also I'm fearful of putting everything into it. Because I'm fearful of the outcome. But
yeah,
that's the truth. It's not really that I'm not smart enough. It's not really any of those things, right? It's more just fear is driving me in that I'm letting fear run the way. And I think that happens to a lot of people when they come to creating whatever business they want to create, if they, whatever their dreams are in life, right? Immediately that inner dialogue starts speaking. Like, well, yeah, okay, you can do it after you become more educated in this area, or after you have done this, or after you've done that, or, and starts putting we are putting those limitations on ourselves, right? Just like Bruce just talked about. But none of that is true. We are, without a doubt, I am a true believer that we are capable of anything in this life that we want to do. But it's all about us deciding and overcoming that inner dialogue that we are capable of it, that we are worth it, right?
Yes.
And that we actually can, that you can, right? So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it, like you were saying about, like, you want to start we're not saying, like, okay, too, is I want people to know, like, you're going to shut up the inner dialogue, and you know what? You might go for something, and you might fall on your face. Like, you might not make it. You might not. But you know what? The difference is you, instead of just sitting and wondering, okay, maybe it never did work out. Maybe it didn't do it the way it was supposed to. I couldn't make it. Well, at least you tried. You know what I mean? Now at least you know, okay, well, I'll give it another shot. Because it doesn't mean, like, okay, if you think of something and I shut up the inner dialogue and I go for it, it's going to work. That doesn't mean that at all. Like, it might not. But the thing is like, you gave it a shot, and that's how you learn. But if you never gave it a shot, when you're 80 years old and you're about to die in bed and you wonder what if you didn't give it everything you got, you don't have to worry about that. Like, that's my goal in life, is when I lay my head down at 80 years old, I want to be able to say I had no regrets and I gave it my all, and who cares? You know what I mean? Like, that's what you need to tell your inner voice every single time. And I don't care if I fell over and over and over, but I gave it. I tried. Instead of sitting there at 80 years old and going, why didn't I try this? Why didn't I try that? Why didn't I try that? And that's a way to, like, I'd rather do that with my voice in the inner dialogue when I'm 80 years old and say, yeah, I did it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, man. What Bruce just said is what I always say. And when he said that, I was like, psh, this is why we get along so well. But I always talk to people about that. I'm like, when you look back on your life, what do you want to say about it? Like, what, that you never tried, or that you overcame whatever was going on in your head, that you decided not to be your own worst enemy, and that you decided to try. And guess what? The times that I've fallen on my face, and guess what? I have many times, but the times that I have fallen have been the best thing that have happened to me, because I realized of the mistakes that I made along the way, how I can do it better. And it makes me want to get up and go after it and try 10 times harder, because now I know what doesn't work and I know what does. So I think that falling on your face in life is one of the greatest gifts. But you will never have an opportunity to do that unless you decide to try. So the ways you're going to decide to try, the ways that you're going to overcome the inner dialogue, and again, like Bruce said, you'll never stop doing this. This will happen for the rest of your life. I talk to people all the time, and they're like, I'm like, you know what? I wish I could tell you that this wasn't going to happen to you, that the inner dialogue wasn't going to start playing in your life and try to win. But it is, and it's always going to happen. And I don't care who you talk to or how much they've worked on themselves. It is always going to take place. So how do you work on yourself when it's always going to take place? And it's the same thing that for most anything I recommend to people, it's identifying and writing it down. What are the things in your life what is your inner dialogue telling you, and what is the truth behind what it's telling you? When you identify the truth behind what it's telling you, you now have power over the inner dialogue and can make action. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
There you go. All right.
I love it.
So go work on that. Write those things down. Let us know, you guys, as you're doing this, let us know how it's working for you. Reach out to Bruce, reach out to myself, you guys. We love helping people. We love people. We want everybody to be able to succeed in life. And so let us know how this is working for you. Let us know what things the inner dialogue is telling you and what is the truth behind it. Because once you see the truth, I guarantee you're going to feel some power behind that. So, all right.
Yes.
We done?
All right.
We're out. Hey guys, thanks for listening to Pumped on Life with Bruce and Rachel. If you'd like to learn more about Bruce, you can follow him on social media at Bruce Pitcher. You can also pick up his book, Larger Than Life, on Amazon. For Rachel, Instagram, rachel.pastor, or her website, rachelpastor.com. Don't forget to follow Pumped on Life on Instagram. Thanks for listening.